I'm going to call this meeting to order. And before we're going to have a few additions to the agenda, but before we do that, Geraldine, if you want to give us a little tutorial on this new way of meeting.
Yes, sure. Okay, so welcome to the first Dummerston Select Board meeting using Zoom. I'm Geraldine Wilson, one of your 5 Select Board members, and I'm the host for this Zoom meeting. So we're really glad for this alternative
System. Oh, just quiet.
Excuse me? Yeah. We're really glad for this alternative way of meeting because of the COVID-19 restrictions. We can't meet in person. So we select board members are kind of anxiously excited about discovering this new way of keeping our town business moving along. This meeting will be recorded, and with all luck, it will be available to be viewed on BCTV as usual, thanks to Brian Bashaw from BCTV. So I'd like to offer a few tips for any Dummerston residents attending this meeting to help us have a successful meeting. As always, we need to list everyone who is in attendance in the minutes. So I'll be assisting Maria Glayback, who's taking minutes, by asking for names. And so please keep yourself on mute to decrease any background noise. For those looking at a computer screen, the mute button is at the bottom on the far left. So if you have something to say, we'll invite you to share as always during the regular agenda item of recognition of visitors and public comments. And we'll ask you to identify yourself first. At other times during the meeting, those on a computer, you may use the chat feature at the bottom of the page. We'll be monitoring that, and anyone who has a question or comment that doesn't get responded to in this meeting, please email us at selectboard@dummerston.org, and we will be sure to respond to you. I'm imagining that we'll get better at managing all of this as time goes on. So with that, I'd like to start our meeting. I do see that Lynn Levine and Cliff Adler have joined. So I'm mentioning that for Maria's sake so that she can include Cliff and Lynn in the list of people who are in attendance. Welcome, Lynn and Cliff. All right, Zeke, so let's start with the agenda.
All right, so the additions we have to the agenda under correspondence for discussion and or action, we have a nuisance dog complaint on Cemetery Road, the Cemetery Road area. We have a request from NEMRC for computer access to the lister's computer. And we have a letter from the listers that we'll put under correspondence for discussion. Just giving us an update on, or clarification on the reappraisal process. And so with those additions, we'll go straight to our meeting, and we have the minutes from March 11th and March 18th.
This is Terry. I make a motion to approve the minutes of March 11th and March 18th.
And I'll second
And
that.
I second it.
Oh, let David second it.
We have
That's
a
fine.
second
Great.
and third. All right. Any discussion?
No.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Moving on, we have warrants 20 and the payroll 20P.
This is Terry. I'll make a motion to approve bills for payment warrants 20 and 20P.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any discussion? Under warrant 20, the total is $13,010.43. And that money is mostly going to payroll transfers, the monthly sheriff bill, fuel, diesel fuel for the town garage, and salt for the roads. Oh, there's also printing the town report. So that's how, those were the top items in that warrant. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 And Zeke, I have a question about that. So do we need to do anything about signing it? How did we made a
Oh,
motion?
I think Charlotte is just going to go ahead and use this as that we've approved it, and we have a record of approving it. She's going to use the minutes essentially to,
Okay,
rather than have us sign, go in there and sign it.
okay,
That's
Great.
how we're going to do this for the time being.
okay, great. And before we move on, I'd just like to acknowledge some other people that have joined. So there's someone that's joined at an 802-254-9525 number. And I've unmuted you. Can you just state your name? (25449). I'm sorry, 254-9525. Whose number is that?
Jean Newell?
Oh, thank you, Jean. We just needed your name. Okay, Jean Newell. And then there's someone HJN. So who is that?
I think that's Judy Fink, and no, that's someone else.
So could the person with the initials HJN let us know who they are?
We should explain to them that this is just for the minutes. We need to
Yeah.
have a record of everyone who attends.
Maybe they're having trouble. Let me see
Yeah.
if I can go out, remove, rename. Okay, well, maybe during the other time, during the recognition of visitors, they'll be able to figure out how to say their name.
Okay. Now, so moving on, this is the part of the show where we have visitors or public comments. So if anyone has anything to say that's not on the agenda later on, this is your opportunity to have the stage.
Yeah, so you can unmute yourself and then speak, but do say your name first.
Okay. Well, we'll move on then if we don't have anyone. Apparently there's nothing for the road foreman's report.
No, there's nothing to report.
Okay.
Everything's going along.
Okay, sometimes no news is good news.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd
Now,
agree.
yeah, under correspondence for information, is there anything anyone wants to discuss under that? We do have the letter from the listers, just clarifying the reappraisal process. And it's not that the whole process has stopped, but the visits to people's homes is not going to go on right now. But there's apparently work that they can do remotely that they're still going to try to keep going with.
Do you want
Can
to,
I,
ask Jean to say more about
Yeah.
that?
Jean can give us the real scoop. Jean, you there?
Zeke?
Yes.
Michael was just clarifying that they will be doing work remotely or from the computer. They will not be going into people's houses, and that there was a miscommunication or whatever in regard to that before. So we're just trying to clear it up because that's actually the way the listers will be working also.
Right. Okay. Good. Anyone have any questions?
I have a question. Yeah, I have a question. Does that mean that on this reappraisal, there will be no, they won't be going into anybody's houses at all? Or will that come later?
It will be just for the time being, for what we're going through right now in our country. This is one of the precautions.
And so I think what David's asking, Jean, is so the appraisal won't get completed until houses have been visited. Is that correct?
That's correct. What they're going to do, they'll be working on like a land chart and things that they can do in the office and not go into people's homes until after this crisis is complete. And then the reappraisal does go on because it has to be done under the contract by next year for 2021 grand list.
Right. And so visits will resume when they're allowed to.
Correct.
Great. Does that answer your question, David?
Yes.
Okay.
Great. Okay. Anything else under correspondence for information that you want to discuss?
Well, I don't know, Terry, you might have something to say. So email from the sheriff. It was really interesting to learn that they have about 70% less calls, but they're staying alert. The calls were less because there are a lot less people on the road, right?
Exactly, yes. Yeah, less of that, but noting that there's more cyber issues.
Yes, with people's computers and
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
So I assume as time goes on, he'll give us another update too as to how things are going.
Yeah, it's great that you're our point person and keeping in touch with him. He's great at that.
Okay. Moving on to correspondence for discussion and or action. We have a request from NEMRC, and they're the ones that maintain the computers for the town office, and they're also doing the reappraisal, as I understand it. And they would like to have, as part of that reappraisal process, they'd like to have remote access to the lister's computer.
Right.
So, and apparently Lori, who forwarded this request to us, didn't have a problem with it. So what do you think?
Well, I'd like to hear from Jean again.
I think that they already have access to our computers per se anyway, so I don't think that this should be a problem, as Lori feels that way too. I know they're already doing this with 2 other towns that they are doing reappraisals for.
Okay. Anyone have any other thoughts?
Well, I'm fine with it then.
It's perfectly fine. If they're
Yeah.
comfortable with it, good.
Yeah.
Do you need a motion, Zeke?
Let's see. Let's go ahead and do it. Not sure if we do, but let's go ahead and have a vote, and
Okay.
so it's in the record.
And what is it that you want a motion for again?
This would be to allow NEMRC to have remote access to the lister's computer.
So I would like to move that we allow NEMRC to have access to the lister's computers.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, any opposed? I guess we'll let them know. Next, we had a letter from a resident on Fisk Road about a nuisance dog in the Cemetery Road area that is aggressive and wanders off the owner's property. And there have been times when this dog has been fairly aggressive. And as we have no designated animal control agents in town now, the responsibility falls to the Selectboard. Probably what, let's see, from my understanding of this, I'd say that a dog that wanders off its owner's property is considered to be at large. And although the Dummerston dog ordinance is a little fuzzy on that, the state statutes are very clear that dogs running at large are simply not allowed. And going into the public's right of way is also, and being a problem is also a violation of state statute and to some extent the town's ordinance. So a phone call to the owners of this dog would be asking them to keep the dog on their property and keep a better eye on it would be a first good step. And if they don't comply with that, then the select board could issue a order that the dog, be either tethered, kenneled, or under the owner's control whenever it's outside. So a friendly phone call is probably the first step to take. So.
And Zeke, has this particular dog owner been called before by an animal control officer?
No, this is the first time I've heard of this particular dog.
Hmm.
So usually, over the last 10 years, we've sort of taken complaints sort of step by step, unless there's a real vicious dog issue, where a dog has actually attacked someone.
So, Terry, how would you feel about giving these people a call?
I can do that if you'd like.
You'd be my vote.
Zeke, just clarifying, Zeke, have you talked to the owners of this dog?
I haven't yet. We just got the letter
Okay.
this week.
Okay.
So I could speak with you later and give you some animal control officer
Tips.
pointers. Yeah, I'd be happy to do that.
Okay, that sounds great.
Great. And then we'll give them a warning, and then we'll hope for some cooperation from your part. And we'll hear if they don't. So.
Yeah, and what? So, yeah, I guess I'd like to understand what the next, what the steps are in this. As a person who is, as a group, responsible for this, I don't know quite what the sequence of things is. So you call first with a warning, and then what happens?
Yes, the Dummerston dog ordinance doesn't have much in the way of teeth to it. So sort of friendly persuasion is usually the first step to take. And then we can cite state statute to write an order that would put more, we can write up a violation. And there are some monetary penalties that aren't much, but so there's, and we can write an order that just flatly states that the dog has to be controlled, with a leash or kennel or tether, and it can't leave the owner's property unless it is under the direct control of the owners. So we can do that.
Mm-hmm. And
usually that's the second step in the process.
And then if it does leave, if it, goes against that order, what's the next step?
Usually, we haven't had to do much more than that.
Mm-hmm.
We've never had to seize anyone's dog, or actually we did maybe 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But if the dog attacks someone off the property, then the process is the people who are attacked file a complaint with the select board. We hold a public hearing within 7 days, and we can take whatever action is necessary to mitigate this danger to the public.
Okay, good. Well, that's helpful. That sort of gives me a framework for what we're responsible for. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, and so the dog ordinance for Dummerston is on the town website under the file cabinet. And it was written in 1995 and probably needs to be updated. But, you know, updating an ordinance sometimes is a process.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
thank you.
It's something we should consider if, you know, we're quarantined for a long time. We have time in our hands. We might want to consider. And VLCT has a mod, as they do with most things, has a model dog ordinance that we could make updating our ordinance pretty simple.
Great. Great. Thank you.
Okay. Anything more on that? All right. Thank you, Terry, and I'll talk to you.
Okay.
Under new business, we have the local emergency management updates. Terry has worked on, and we need to approve so they can become official.
There's not a whole lot of changes on this. Mostly it's clerical. It's name changes and stuff like that. So we added some farms on one of the lists per the recommendation of the Wyndham Regional, but other than that, it's just basically name changes.
Sure. Okay. Can we have a motion to approve the local emergency management? Is it?
Oh, yeah. I move that we approve the local emergency management plan as written.
I'll second that.
All right. Any discussion? Okay. Thank you, Terry, for working on that.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Great. Okay, that's done until next year again. So next on the list, Lori Frechette, the town clerk, closed the town office. Was it the beginning of last week or? But then she learned that she can't close the entire building without the select board's approval. And where it seemed to be a time-sensitive issue, we actually, I said we should just close this, given the governor's state of emergency and the advice we were getting from state agencies. We should go ahead and close it, and that we could ratify that at this meeting. So I guess a motion to ratify closing the town office would be what I'd like to have.
I'll move that we ratify the decision of the select board to close the town office. Yeah.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Right?
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
great.
And I just want to make a statement that I think Lori has been doing a great job protecting herself and at the same time keeping business going, town business going, supporting Charlotte, supporting the zoning administrator, and being really helpful to us. So I'm pretty proud of the town office, and Lori's a big part of that.
Right.
Great.
Yes. Yes, it's done a good job. People are still able to get information and
Yep.
what they need. So Lori also recommended that we waive late penalties for dog licensing until she suggests June 1st, and we can revisit this, of course.
Well, it says July 1st.
Oh, July 1st, right.
Yeah.
Okay, July 1st, that's 7. Okay. So what would you like to do?
I'll make a
Let's see.
motion. Whoop. to waive the late penalties for dog licensing until July 1st, 2020.
Well, I'll second that motion.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, great. All right, so now we come to appointments, reappointments and new appointments to town committees, offices, and boards and commissions. So,
I'll go ahead and make a motion. This is Maria. I'll make a motion that we make the appointments as presented, and hopefully you all reviewed them. And then I will put the complete list in the minutes.
okay, great. So people can see.
I'll second that.
Great. Okay, any discussion? It seemed like there were a lot of reappointments. There weren't a lot of new appointments. We have Joshua Pacheco going from an alternate member of the DRB to a regular member of the DRB. A couple people are dropping off the DRB as their terms have expired. Jen Sargent and Dennis Muse, both have been very good members of that board for a number of years. Lewis White is moving up to become the first constable. And fire wardens, Ted Glayback is going to become one of our fire wardens, and the assistant fire warden will be Alan Pike. And those terms will be until 2022. So those were the new appointments. So we have some empty seats on some of the boards, but we can start working on those and get them over as we get a list of what openings we still have. But we have a motion and a second to approve these appointments and reappointments. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Great. Okay. Do we have any unfinished business? Anything? Okay. Well, I guess our first Zoom has gone pretty well, I think.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second that.
Okay.
All right.
Great. Thanks very much.
All right. Thank you
Thank
for everyone
Yep.
who joined, and we'll look forward to April 8th at 6 o'clock.
Yes, and thank you very much, Geraldine, for getting us up.
And thank you to Brian.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Great. All right.
Bye.
Ciao.
Bye.
See you later.
Bye.